comes up for section B. And for investment theory, you must study neoclassical and Korean. Okay, so let's go to the diagram. Let's look at neoclassical. Now, you must be very careful with neoclassical. If you read the exam question, it sounds like economic growth question. But if they want you to do economic growth, you will say so. Soros model, AK model, economic growth model. But other than that, whenever they talk about capital goods, it's neoclassical. You must be careful. Okay? So neoclassical model is talking about level of capital. By drawing this, you should already know it's different from economic growth. Economic growth is capital per worker. This is total number of machines in a firm. The concept is really different. Okay, and then over here, you are comparing the cost, known as RC, versus the benefit of using the machine, RK. Okay, and the benefit is given by the MEC curve. Okay, and the cost curve is usually given as a straight line. Okay, and this cost curve, is actually looking at the interest payable for the loans that you get, RPK. The machine costs you PK dollars, you went to borrow money, you pay interest R. The machine, subject to wear and tear, depreciation, is the percentage on the value of the machine. Okay, this is the cost of owning the machine. Each period, you must pay interest for the loans you get. You must service the machine. However, the discussion includes variation price because it considers that you may want to sell the machine away. Okay, so if you find this hard to understand, this is known as the loss of resale of the machine. Okay, because the machine depreciates, so when you sell it, you make a loss. That loss must add to your cost of operating the machine. Okay, so usually students are very weak at PKT plus 1. But knowing that you are very weak, examiner likes to test. Alright, so let's look at the very famous exam question, which is also the test question. What if future price went up? Why do examiner likes to test this question? Because students will say RC go up. But that's wrong. Okay? So if you are caught, then think for yourself, what does it mean by loss of resale? Give yourself a numerical example. When you buy the machine, it costs you $10,000 per machine. If you sell it away, one period later, it costs T plus 1. Right? It will be 9,000. So the loss you incurred is 1,000 per machine. So explain in a numerical manner. But now PKT plus 1 went up. So we call it 1. Right? So instead of selling it at 9,000, the price went up to 9,800. And you can see your loss now is only $200 per machine. So your loss drops, right? Your loss from resale drops, your rental cost or cost of owning a machine drops. It didn't increase. This is a very famous exam question in which I also did it in class test. Okay? But the moment students saw capital, they went economic growth, which is wrong. It is actually neoclassical. So you must be careful to look at this question in the exam. Okay? But with that, we do the analysis, RC drop. Now look at the entire discussion. What was the assumption you need to make? We keep discussing this block, right? Therefore, you must assume all this to be constant. So when your question was easy and straightforward, the more you need to make cautious observation of your answer. You must polish it. So with your 6 papers to practice, stop reading exam answers, write your own, fulfill the length, check for assumptions. Okay, so therefore RC drop, but assuming your R, your PK, your depreciation to be constant. Okay, so this is the first basic assumption you make. Then you go to the diagram. Very quickly, RC, let me put down the pointers. So initially we are here. That was RC1 and R1. That's where you get K1. So RC drops. Okay, so your RC drops to RC2, but you are now still at K star 1. You cannot straight away go to the right. You are still owning K star 1, 100 machines. Okay, so at point A prime, this is your step 2. You compare benefit with your cost. This is neoclassical theory. Neoclassical theory says you need to always compare benefit and cost. So that tells you, therefore, step 3, your K must increase, right? Because benefit exceed cost means you can afford one more machine, so your K increase. But there's a step 4 here. Okay, you want to show there's a movement, but how? You apply law of diminishing return. K increase, MPK will drop. The productivity of the machine drop is equivalent to, say, the returns of the machine drop. That's why you slide down until you reach point B. Okay, until you reach point B, then you bring it down, you will get K star 2. Okay, and then you answer the question. So when you want to do neoclassical, you cannot A goes to B, cannot. There must be behavior. There was the firm's behavior deciding benefit and cost. So if your answer is always the intersection is point B, that is where you get 2 out of 5 in section A question. You didn't explain behavior. Yours is the diagram say so. Okay, so through the analysis, okay, so I put there C step 1 to 5. Okay, therefore K increase, investment goes up. Now, what is a good exam answer? It seems that you have finished EP and I. Alright, you have explained, you prove it with diagram. Okay, you have indicated assumptions. But maybe there's something else you want to mention. The entire discussion, alright, assume MEC is alright, unchanged. You are using one set of MEC curve. Right, you're traveling on the same MEC, but the MEC can also go up and down. So in this case, put in your prefix to say, however. Okay, alright, changes in R, PK, delta, or even a drop in MEC. Example, political risk or political instability in Thailand will therefore offset the drop in RC. Look at how I do C and S. I challenge assumption. I don't need to say how much. I just say these variables can change. The RC went down, right? K went up. I can say RC go up, or I can say MEC went down. Don't draw at all. It's only 5 marks. You only have 8 to 10 minutes. But polish the answer. Instead of going into all this, talk about MEC, which is usually due to, right, stability of the economy. So I will take this opportunity to see the world. Although the question don't require, but I'm an opportunist. Because I know everybody's going to excel in this, I want to demonstrate, this is my best 4 questions, I put in see the world. Right? So if MEC were to drop, it will offset the drop in RC. Your pay will not increase. That's exactly happening in Thailand. So when we say see the world, we don't need you to quote which article says so, what is the MEC in Thailand. We don't. We just want you to actually let me sit down and say, oh yeah, that's a valid fact. You challenge assumption and you also show me something that you read about that will violate the above answer. You have your ethics. There must be a drive to put ethics right. It cannot be, when the question asks me, then I do ethics. Cannot. You must be an opportunist to put in the see the world. Alright? That's why the first 5 minutes of reading and planning exam question is essential. See which question out of 6, try to do 2. If you can do 4, it's really ideal, but it really depends on the situation. So that's why I tell students, the night before macro paper, do not do exam paper anymore. Go and read articles. I've given you so many articles already. Go and read about them. You never know, it came in handy when you need it. Alright? Okay? This is where you can make yourself shine. And not perfect diagram, alright? And not perfect equation. Look at this answer. It's a full ethics answer. Although you get 5 marks, but it will move you to a 7 out of 5 range. It will actually impress him that he says, I'm ready to give the student a grade A or B. And of course, I look at other questions as well. So we're not asking you to do all 6 questions like that, It's not easy, right? But at least 4 of them you can do this. It's good enough to impress him. They all come with practice. There must be a desire, a craving to excel. Hear me clearly. It's not difficult to pass macro if you manage your time well, but if you want to excel, there must be effort. There must be a very clear, conscious effort to show him, to make him guilty, that he didn't give you enough time to show him what you have more to say. Right, okay? So this is on investment theory. Looking at your slides, make sure you also study your Tobin Q. So I won't go through the Tobin Q discussion. Next slide. Money demand. Now, I was telling students in the earlier class, okay, I taught macro for 8 years already, and this is the only year that students shocked me with the answer. It was so shocking, but it will become a legendary